Now then, people, good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Final Word. This time we will be going through our FA Cup exit at the hands of Millwall. Much maligned changes, 10 changes in fact. There's plenty schools of thought. There's those, just having a quick look actually there on my community tab on store. Some saying, I'm happy we're out of the league. Others saying it's a disgrace. We pay harder money to go and he made 10 changes, we should be beating Millwall, etc., etc. So there's many different schools of thought when it comes to this. Jack, I know pre-match you were a bit like myself. I don't want to lose a game of football. So what was your take post-match, having seen the lineup that went out? I think there's been too much made on this 10 changes. That team was still good enough to beat Millwall, in my opinion. It's easy with hindsight to say, oh, well, he made, what do we expect? There was enough out there. A lot of these lads were expected to be, at the start of the season, first teamers. Let's be honest. We'd have all said Nonto. We'd have all said Joseph, I think, at the start of the season. So I think it's unfair on the manager to hammer him for that. But I know you, Jack, like myself, were pretty much like, no, I want to win. I want to progress. So how do you feel having seen Leeds United go out with a bit of a whimper, really?
Yeah, it was more the fashion we went out on it that really got to me, I think. I sort of let it off on first half. I just thought, is what it is. Come out second half and sort of try and get it sorted. But I don't, like you said, really, there's four main changes, weren't there? Like with Chambers, Gilavogi's not really played much, Schmidt and then Darlow. But everybody else don't really have much of an excuse, in my opinion, to not sort of perform. You could, but then, because I actually, when I saw the lineup, I was excited about it. I thought it was really good. And, I thought there's an opportunity for Chambers and stuff to be in a first team. Because that, like you say, like Ramazani, until his injury, he was in the team. Nonto, everybody thought a bit best winger in the league, or certainly for us. Joseph started season every game. So, Ampadu were there. Struitt's coming back from injury. Byram's been playing plenty. So yeah, I thought it'd be better. It really frustrated me, to be honest. Is
that it?
Yeah, it did. It got to me, man. Yeah, it did. Yeah. It irritated me.
Yeah, the legendary MVG saying, "Yeah, I've never seen Jack so pissed off. Even you were calm by comparison, Joe. So yeah, you must have been really irked." Evie, Jack makes a great point in terms of a lot of them, but there was a few players that maybe stood out. And I, like Jack pre-match, was actually excited to see Chambers and Gulavogi. I was like, please don't play him at centre-back. Then having seen him in midfield, I'm like, please don't play him at all, to be honest, without, I feel bad because he's such a nice guy off it, but wow, retirement home tackle. I thought Schmidt was really good. And all the rest, like Jack said, they should have performed better, really.
Yeah, I have to admit, though, the moment the final whistle went, I was absolutely fine. I was not bothered in the slightest about that, because for as much as I completely agree, because me and my husband were completely opposite. He was raging. He was like you, Jack. He was absolutely fuming about the performance. He was fuming that kind of had Fark thrown the game essentially with that many changes. He was not a happy man at all, whereas I was completely zen about it. Usually I'm not a nice person to be around after I have witnessed us lose. I can keep it myself together on screen, but like at home, I'm not a nice person to be around. I'm a very sulky person when Leeds have performed.
Just in general, or only football? Like just in general, Evie, or what?
Oh yeah, just in general. I'm a terrible human being. You want to see as soon as these cameras go off. Wow. But I just wasn't bothered yesterday. I really wasn't. I thought Joseph was really poor yesterday. I thought he did himself no favours in terms of moving Pirro out of that starting lineup. I thought Sam Chambers was brilliant. I loved his physicality. I loved the fact that he wasn't afraid to go up and be up against people who were literally double his age. He really different caliber of player, but he did remind me of Archie last season, where actually sometimes you just forgot how young he was. You forgot he was 17 because he wasn't like scared to go up against. You know, he said, I'm a starting football player, just like you. You know, it's irrelevant my age, and I really liked that. I thought he did a really good. He showcased himself, definitely for getting some minutes. I'm not saying by any stretch start him in a league game, but I'm just saying he really gave himself a good shout. And I'm exactly the same with Schmidt. I enjoyed his performance. I would have liked to have seen him at the left and Byram at the right, if I'm being honest. I think that was my main criticism of the starting lineup. Was I expected Byram to be on the right, so when Schmidt was on the right and Byram was on the left, we're starting these players, and I think that's what you get when you get too many newbies, essentially. You're not going to see the best of them when they're playing with such a disjointed team, and that midfield had never played together really before. And yeah, Gilavogi, he is all about the vibes, but he was lucky not to be sent off. His tackle. In another day, you give us VAR, and that's probably a sending off offence. So he was lucky. Disappointed with Farke for not taking him off and taking him out of the firing line, because obviously if he takes him off before he loses the ball for the umpteenth time and we concede the second, we maybe get something. But what I didn't want is, when obviously he made all the changes, I didn't want us to then go and equalise, because I didn't want to have an extra 30 minutes of football. I either wanted us to win or wanted us to just lose it. I didn't want to draw and go to extra time, not when we've got a league game on Tuesday. So Tuesday is more important, and the next time we play Millwall is more important than the cup.
I think that is fair, and like I say, it'll soon be in the rear view if we beat Watford on Tuesday comfortably, and we'll be all over it. But I think Evie made some great points, Max, in terms of those that are potentially knocking at the door. They knocked at the door, no one answered, and it's been slammed shut again. Do you know what I mean? I don't think really, aside from Schmidt, who I think now should be getting maybe on the bench, at least in some games. He probably won't, because he'll go with Byram, who can play both sides, and he's probably more dependable in this stage of his career. But outside of that, there wasn't really... I thought even Ampadu was poor, to be honest.
Yeah, I do think that Evie made a great point about, you see a lot of these people in the background who are, people, and the fans are saying, oh, this guy could be in the starting lineup. But putting them all in the starting lineup at once, all these people who are wanting to get starting fixtures in the league, and you put them all together and they haven't really played together, it just becomes a bit of a mess. You often see it at the start of a season when a club signs a load of players and they throw them all in at once, and they're a bit disjointed and it's not quite working out. And I feel like that's a similar thing. I also feel like sometimes there's players who are trying a bit too hard to make an impact. I think Mateo Joseph, he's got inside his own head in this game, because everything he tried went wrong. Every single pass, he tried his hold-up play, he would try and just have his back to goal, ball come to him, he'd try and play it to a teammate. Honestly, he must have done it 5 or 6 times in the first half, just giving the ball away straight to a Millwall player. And I was getting so frustrated by it, thinking just like even the simple stuff's going really wrong. Gilavogi, I think the thing is, if you put Isaac Schmidt in the starting lineup with the rest of the starting team who have been consistently starting throughout this season, he has a really good game. If you put Byram in there, he has a really good game. If you put Gilavogi in there, he'd probably do a lot better than what he did. I think it's throwing them all in at once as thrown off the whole thing. But also, I understand why Farke would rest so many players, because in the league, Aronson has not had a rest. Joe Rodon has not had a rest. Some of these players, Tanaka has had 1 or 2 rests, but these players have been playing constantly, and you have to kind of make some changes. Now, Byram, I thought, was also really poor in this game. He kind of showed, and I think Evie's right that we should have tried Schmidt on the left and Byram on the right, because Byram, yes, he's played on the left back for Norwich and he's done it for years. But when he gets to that byline and you go in, right, cross it in with your left foot, and he turns back and then spoons a ball behind Rothwell, he has to turn around and run after, and you think, you've just killed our whole counter-attack So poor. Late in the second half, the ball came to him on the left-hand side. He whipped it in the box perfectly fine. So I don't know what he's afraid of to cross the ball in the box. I don't know what it is. But yeah, and also echo the other's thoughts on Sam Chambers as well, because I thought Chambers actually showed some get up and go, the ability to get in the positions that he wanted to be in and cross the ball into the box. I thought he did well at that as well. But yeah, there was a lot of things that went wrong. Well, last thing as well, Darlow. The first one, obviously, it's not a savable shot because it's completely wrong-footed in. But the second one, now they talk about not getting beat at your near post, and that's something that gets levelled at goalkeepers all the time. But having listened to people like Ben Foster and Rob Green and multiple goalkeepers talk about this and said it's a complete myth, the near post thing. If they hit it hard enough into the top of the net, you've got no chance of saving it. Whereas this one, it went through Darlow, I thought. I think it went underneath him, and it was a really poor attempt to save it. I haven't seen it back. Someone suggested that it might have been a deflection on the second goal as well. I don't know if that's true, but I just thought it was poor goalkeeping on the second one, and it makes me think, even if we are having trouble with Meslier at times, we haven't got better at the club, unless this Australian fella who's just come in, who's 18 years old, is some sort of amazing goalkeeper, but I've never seen him play. So yeah, throwing them all in at once was what was a bit of a worry for me, and I wasn't that angry about it because I went into it thinking this is an FA Cup game, this is a chance for me to watch Leeds and not be that arsed about it, which should never be the case with the FA Cup, because it's supposed to be the magic of the FA Cup, this special competition, but it's not anymore. I really feel like it's not anymore, especially with the cancelled replays. Premier League teams play their third choice team against Leyton Orient and scrape a win, and do you know what I mean? The magic of the FA Cup. Championship teams couldn't give a hoot about it because, to put it politely, because they are just focusing on promotion. So therefore they don't care about it either. So the only people who care about it is the lower leagues, and they don't get the replays anymore. So the FA Cup for me, until they start making changes to the format or putting it back to the way it was, is dead, and it just made me not really care about it.
I mean, that's a wider conversation, but I sort of agree with you there, to be honest, Max, regarding the FA Cup and stuff. But I do want to just say, for context, and the chat, a few in the chat have mentioned it as well, Isaac Schmidt is also right-footed. I'm not sure if he's better on his left than Byram or not. I hear what people say on Byram. I genuinely do, but he gets absolutely caned for it, and it's like he can also. But look, he wasn't good. I probably feel like I have to defend him because
he's decent most weeks, which is why. Yeah. Obviously, this is just me, and that's just one person's opinion. But of course, I've never noticed him really kill moves that badly before, which is why it kind of stuck out in my head to go, he definitely had a bad game there, because usually I think he has quite a good game, but I would prefer Firpo for the attacking reasons. But I don't have any problems with Byram, and he's consistent.
And folks, like everyone's saying, 10 changes too much. 10 changes too much. Can I just ask, were we all happy with the lineup pre-match?
Yeah, I think any one of those players, pretty much any one of those players, apart from Chambers or Gilavogi, if you saw them in the starting lineup, it wouldn't be a shock.
No.
So therefore, people can say, "Oh yeah, we're playing all our reserves," but these are the guys that everyone's been saying, "Oh, that we've got basically 2 full first teams of."
Yeah. These are the guys that we were told we don't need additions for as well. We don't need January. We've got. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's almost like, in my opinion, the manager's screwed. The only way he's not screwed is if we win, and which I guess is that's the main thing of football, right? You got to win football matches ultimately. But I do think to say it's too many, I don't know if anyone was saying that pre-match, because the front 3 wingers, striker, a lot of people wanted to see starting in the league not too long ago. So I don't know.
It's also not to say that everybody was bad, because I actually do think that the front 3 midfielders, obviously excluding Joseph up top, they were all right, and they actually created chances and had a few shots that were the one that Nonto is kind of like improvised volley that the goalkeeper saved, Ramazani from the edge of the box that was tipped around the post. There was a few chances created by those lads, but the Byram not performing, the Joseph not performing, the Gilavogi not performing, overall it just killed our flow, and no one could pass to each other for periods of the game where I'm sure you all were as well, watching it going,
yeah,
why can't you? Why have you just lost the ability to pass the ball?
Yeah. I feel like I'm a broken record at the minute, and I just want to get people's thought, because I feel like I do sort of gun for him a little bit, maybe more than others, and I don't know, but apart from the opening 15 minutes up until he made the error, I thought Nonto was pretty poor, to be honest, Max. I maybe I'm being harsh, maybe I'm overcritical. He's not my flavour of the month for sure, so I don't know. I think I was really frustrated as well from, if you look at their first goal, it doesn't need to happen. There's passes on. And he decides
that was bad.
Yeah, he just decides to hold on to it, gets pressed, 3 green shirts around him, and they go and score.
I think it wasn't Schmidt's fault, that, but the weird little.
But no, it was Nonto's. It was Nonto's.
He'd have been row A. Schmidt when he tried that back heel, but still, you don't do that either. I know it's mainly Nonto's fault, but trying to get back and win that ball back, all you've got to do is try and get your body in between them and make them think twice about passing it. And he just kind of ran past, tried a silly back heel, and fell over the advertising boards. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, it was just like a moment of madness.
In fairness to Nonto, in that scenario, it is a horrible. Once you're there, you need somebody to help you out, don't you? And he does get it into an area where Schmidt does need to do more. It's both of them. Nonto shouldn't be holding on to it for that long, but once he does give it to Schmidt. Schmidt's got to be so much stronger than that. Just literally, like Max says, you've got to get something on it, or put your back into, just get you back into player or something. You can't just be trying
We saw some of that like selfish behaviour at the Coventry game. We were absolutely incredible, but if we'd have played as selflessly as we did against Cardiff at Coventry, there's an argument to say that we score even more against Coventry than we did against Cardiff. And that's great when you've got an entire first team out, but obviously when we've made 10 changes, you can't afford to be that selfish. You can't afford to hold on to the ball that long, because you're not fully gelled with the rest of the team, so you don't know who's going to cover your back. So you're right, somebody should, Schmidt should have been there to help him, out in that situation, but they haven't really played together that much, so they don't have that chemistry.
No, but he's got the ball, is all I mean, Evie.
Oh Schmidt, yeah, no, I'm not dissing. No,
ball at that point, it's like you've got to be stronger. It's like
it's just. The decision making, and when you don't have a team around you that you've played with constantly, you don't know what necessarily is the best kind of thing to do next. Whereas when you're playing week in, week out, they often lots of mistakes get easily covered up by other players, whereas nobody's mistakes got covered up. Everybody's mistakes were exploited and were really obvious for us to see. Joseph was just shocking. His passes were poor. He gave the ball away so many times yesterday, things that we absolutely hammer Aronson for, myself included. Joseph was doing the exact same thing that I was hammering Aronson for in November time. So he didn't do brilliantly either, and I think that lack of cohesiveness was just so obvious. But again, I was glad, I know that Dan James and Rodon had like a little knock, which is why they weren't even in the squad. But I was glad that Aronson just didn't come on for any minutes. I was glad that those 3 didn't come on for any minutes, because really, how somebody made a really good comment earlier on in the chat, just saying, think of Rodrigo, in relegation season. If Marsh doesn't play him, maybe a few more of his goals during that period that he was out for keep us up that season. So we have to get up this season, otherwise it's going to be a very ugly, long, dark summer, and we don't want that. So I would rather chuck a game in the cup where we can afford to lose it rather than chuck games nearer the end of the season because people are overtired and overplayed and things like that.
I would say as well, because sorry, Joe, sometimes it's a shame when you go out the FA Cup because it's a chance for the youngsters to get a game. But this time, it's only really Sam Chambers and James DeBio who are anywhere near the first team squad out of the youth squad, out of the youth academy. The rest of them who have been deemed to kind of have a chance, like your Charlie Cruz, Sonny Perkins, people like that, they've all been sent out on loan anyway, haven't they? So it's not like in some years you've got, like, Bielsa wanted to keep all the youth, didn't he? So he barely ever loaned players out, whereas now we've basically loaned them all out. So there isn't really that much of a benefit to stick, because you're never going to win it, are you? You never, as a championship team, you're never going to win the FA Cup. Very, very rarely.
I thought there was a chance, especially now Liverpool's gone.
Is that the point of football, though? Like, genuinely.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what the FA Cup's become to me.
I understand that, but you know, crap. I want Leeds to try and win something. So I really can't handle I don't really care if we can't win it. I don't want to get beat to Millwall. I want to go play.
I didn't want to lose. It's just that when we have lost, it doesn't hurt as much. If we'd lost to Millwall in the league, I'd be a lot more fuming. If you get what I mean.
Absolutely.
Football has just become about money, and if we don't get that golden ticket to the Premier League, then
were you happy with that starting lineup, Jack?
Yeah, I was excited. Yeah.
Right. So then Farke didn't throw the game because all of us have agreed. No, but what I'm saying is the team didn't perform, and that's on the players. The players didn't perform, so that's not necessarily the manager chucking it. That's not necessarily. I think he did chuck it near the end of the game because he didn't bring on players that could have made the difference if he'd have brought off Gilavogi at half time and brought somebody else, Tanaka, on. If he'd have maybe brought Firpo on for Byram, then again maybe we have more attacking impetus. Solomon, I thought, was poor when he came on because he does the exact same thing that Max, you were getting frustrated with Byram for. Is he often cuts back in. He doesn't go across. He does a very kind of Somerville-esque thing of where he'll cut back in and try and get it on his right foot and shoot instead of just crossing it across the corridor of uncertainty and getting it into just anybody who could take a touch off it.
That's why he works a lot better with Firpo as well, because Firpo goes beyond Solomon. Offer that left-footed cross into the box, doesn't he? But when Byram's there and they both want to do it, it makes us so one-dimensional that the defenders on the opposing team, they know exactly what we're going to do. Whereas certain combinations of our team work better than others. And I think if you've got Firpo and Solomon, that works a lot better than Byram and Solomon. And there's different examples around the pitch as well. I think if Gruev was playing in this game instead of Gilavogi, Gruev covers the fullback spots, which Gilavogi doesn't do. Like when Firpo's on the pitch, Firpo's always high and wide, being a winger on his own, basically. And Gruev goes and cross and basically plays left back temporarily or right back temporarily for Bogle to cover that, whereas Gilavogi was kind of just a bit static in the middle, and like Joe said, he doesn't really move much. So it's like certain combinations work better, and I think we found some bad combinations in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Is this a case as well, Jack, for us knowing now what our best 11 is? I do agree with what Max is saying. If you drop Nonto in with the rest, if you drop Ramazani in, still going to have good games, aren't they? But I think if we were to pick our best 11 now, fullbacks, I mean, there's still probably a conversation to be had. I think Strout will come back in and that'll put Ampadu back in midfield. But outside of that, I think we know now we have a settled 11 for the running. And if there's any injuries, them lads will have to come in.
Yeah, I think it made Farke look pretty good in a sense that, the starting 11 he has got right. Like Max said, with Darlow and Meslier, whatever you think of Meslier, he probably is still the best keeper at the club. So, he does. There's a bit of credit in bank for that. I didn't think Ramazani played too poorly, to be fair. Everybody that came into the side. When Stewart gets back, we don't need to rush him back. So Ampadu can stay in. We're comfortable, I think, in the starting 11 we have. Once Stewart gets fully fit and he's like, we can actually bleed him into the team a little bit. We're not in a rush in that sense. So I think Farke's got the starting 11 and that will be all the way to the running. And he'll keep rotating the centre mids and stuff because they're all much of a muchness out. The Gruev, Rothwell, Tanaka and Amps. So they're all malleable out. It doesn't really matter what order he plays them in.
Yeah, no, you bang on the money. I think it is a case, and like you say, the midfielders make you can play any combination, can't you? Really, and be confident that they'll do a job. Evie Strauch penalties. Is it time now we move the centre back off them? 2 of 5, I think he's got now in his last 5.
I don't know, but the last, he scored the one before this one. He did score, and then he missed the one before that. But the ones that he's missed have been P-rollers. Like, they've been shockingly bad. I knew that it wasn't going in because I said, oh God, we've got no Pirro on the pitch, and Strauch's going to take it. And I just don't have he's just coming back from injury. He was having this game for minutes. I just think that we need better options. If we've only got 2 actual penalty takers and in a game that you don't necessarily want to use your bench for obvious, reasons of you want to give them more kind of rest. I think that I don't know. We just need better options. We don't have great, other than Pirro, we don't have great options.
I think it's a sticks out like a sore thumb to me that Joseph doesn't volunteer. But he might do, but he might get told to back down by a senior player in Strauch. But something about it is like you've got a striker lacking confidence. Like, say what you want about Bamford, but anytime he was in a bad vein of form and a penalty came up, he wanted it. He really wanted to take it to try and get himself back on that train again. Yeah. But you get what I mean, though, is that the attitude is there to go, yeah, I'll go and take that penalty. And none of the forwards are taking it, and Strauch's going to take it. And I'm as modern as they come in terms of most of my takes of football. But the one thing I don't like about modern football is, why is your striker not wanting to take your penalty? Supposed to be the people who are best at scoring goals on the pitch, or a winger even, or an attacking midfielder, a number 10. You're supposed to be the guys who are scoring the goals. So why are you letting a centre-back walk past you all and take your penalty?
It's right. It is right. You are right.
Maybe just throwing it out there. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just wondering. He's been at the club the longest, I think, now out
Probably
of all of the So maybe, and seniority and captain on the pitch. That's the only reason that I can think that they wouldn't necessarily take, have a Somerville Pirro argument from last season. But
just wiped it from my memory.
I don't think Pascal understands what the stutter's about either, does he?
No.
From my experience of, the stutter, it normally means whichever way the keeper goes, you put it the opposite way. But he seems to go, there's the stutter, mate. And he goes, oh no, don't go that way. That's the way I'm going.
Giving him a chance.
I can't change my mind now.
Save, but it was a savable one. Like, it was a good. Like, their goalkeeper was really good in this game and made a lot of decent saves.
He was.
But then you also get, as soon as a goalkeeper makes some saves against us, it's, why haven't we signed him and put him instead of Melier? He's had one good game and he plays for Millwall. He can't be that good.
Yeah. He was. I think he was their man of the match, weren't he? I thought he played really well, to be fair. He pulled off some saves, although I don't. Yeah, Chambers point blank, Nonto point blank. We didn't carve them open at will. I thought actually Millwall got their tactics spot on, to be fair. I thought
they were good, especially in the first half. But the thing is, they did Farke's own tactics on it, basically. They played well in the first half, got ahead, and then slowly throughout the rest of the game backed off while scoring another goal. It's like, but if Farke wanted a game plan to go like that, a 2-0 game plan where you score in the first half fairly early on and then defend all the way through the rest of the game and score a second goal, he would be like, that's Farke's dreamland. They did it to us.
Yeah, they did.
I've got to say, though, that there's a silver lining to this game, and it's that this whole conversation we've had about how badly all our players played, we still created enough chances to win this game, probably 3-2. I think I'm just looking here. We had 13 shots and 8 on target, and they had 9 shots and 2 on target. It's like we still are creating chances because we've got that individual brilliance, which is a very good thing to have. And that's probably why we scored so many goals off the bench, because those lads who are up front or in the attacking midfield are the ones where we bring them off the bench and go, you go and do something. And Nonto runs and weak foots it in the bottom corner from the edge of the box, or Ramazani spins on it and just puts it in the bottom corner. So there is somewhat of a silver lining to this, is that as bad as we were, probably our worst performance of the season, we still created a load of chances, dominated the possession, and we just cannot score sometimes. So
you're right. It was just one of them in it. FA Cup, I would have liked to have progressed. I can't lie. Just more than anything, I wanted a Premier League team at home so we could test our mettle, because Farke would have played his full 11. I think that's what I'd have liked to have seen. But we're out now, and we have 15 games left now to go get promoted. Watford did us a favour, getting a point against Sunderland. Happy days. I know Sheffield United won, but they didn't make easy going of it against Portsmouth. They won late on, didn't they? 2-1, I think it was, with your boy Wayman getting an equaliser for Portsmouth. I don't know if you've seen Ogilvy, but he looks like a dead ringer for me, to be honest. I had loads of people messaging me saying, you've just scored for Portsmouth. I was like, oh, nice one. Look, let's just have it's not going to be a long one. There's not really much we can pick the bones out of it, but we do have a game in like 48 hours or something. Jack, what you expecting away at Watford? Could this be the first time you're going to get our first 11, Farke's first 11 together on the pitch? Because I think Strauch, having got through 90, might come in alongside Rodon, and then Ampadu might go in midfield. And if he does do that, who partners Ampadu for you in midfield away at Watford? Because I've got a sneaky suspicion it could be Ilya away from home, to be honest. But
yeah, he seems to like it, doesn't he? He's gone Gruev since Gruev's got back fit. He's gone Gruev. I actually think, because we did this, didn't we, in the show of the week, Joe? But I actually think Watford will be one of the ones that will come up a bit sticky. I think they'll just be difficult, and they're always around middle at the table, like they're always 9th or 10th in league. So picked up a decent result last game. Been in really bad form, which for some reason doesn't bode well for me whatsoever. I just think it's one of them ones where they're just sort of like they've got to hold on to this 10th position. They've got to pick up some points because they will finish around 10th. That's what they do. So it's like they can't keep losing, drawing. So I think it could be tricky. I know it's the oldest and most obvious thing that anybody ever says, but if we get an early goal, it just massively changes the whole scene, doesn't it? The whole game.
With us more than ever because of our record with them as well.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, so an early goal, because we're so mint in front, it's ridiculous. I mean, we're just mint in general. To be fair, that all the statistics are going to start piling up on the basis that we win so many games, unless it's FA Cup and nobody's bothered. But other than that, it's we try and win football games, so it is enjoyable to watch in league. But yeah, so I think it'll be Gruev. Possibly. I think it depends on how Struett is, obviously. If he's not, that's what I'm saying with Ampadu. If he's not 100%, then I think he'll just stick with Ampadu at back. But having said that, if he's 100% fit, Struett will come back in and Ampadu will go back into the middle, you would imagine.
Any thoughts on Jack's 11 there, or?
I think go on, Evie. You go first.
Thank you. I think in the middle, I think it'll be if Strauch starts, then obviously Ampadu and Tanaka in the middle. I don't think he'll go super defensive because I think he's seen how, as long as there's a defensive-minded person, specifically Ampadu, when he's fit in midfield, he can see this season that we don't need to go that. We've got the creativity, and he's trusting his players a little bit more to be a little bit more creative. Last year we were super structured, and it actually killed a lot of momentum, whereas this season he seems to trust the players on a more individual basis. So I think that he allows them to kind of express themselves a little bit more than he did last season. But that just depends how Watford actually come out and play. Obviously, I know Cleverley's under a little bit of pressure as well. So it depends how he wants to play. But I think Dan James being rested is good. You know, we've got some fresh legs for Tuesday, as well as, you know, a little bit of continuity if Strauch starts at the back as well. I hope obviously it's Bogle and Firpo to start. You know, we need that going up and down the middle. And again, the same with Ampadu would then sit back whilst those two bomb forward and create the overloads and the pressure. So yeah, I don't think there'll be that many changes. Obviously, like the front four like picks itself after, especially after yesterday's game. I don't think any of them did a job to push Dan James or Solomon out of the way, or Pirro or Aronson.
Yeah, and just before you come in, Max, I do just want to remember, check for Tadza, much like Tom Cannon, it was a period where we didn't have Gruev or Ampadu, and both of them got on the ball in that 10 and did quite a lot with it. And I remember saying afterwards that doesn't happen if Ampadu's on the pitch. Now, having heard Farke speak in the last few games when he spoke about Josh Brownhill and how he marked Gruev to deal with him. We saw Gruev play as well just the other night against Coventry with them having, you know, 3 in midfield. And I think there's a big shout actually that Gruev plays and he's given that job on Czech for Tadza, because he did. I know we won that game, but he was very good at Ellen Road, Max. So I think there might be a case that Gruev does come in to do that job and say, listen, don't let this guy get on the ball, because, great player, and one that said, you know, wouldn't have minded in January for that 10 position, to be honest. Thoughts?
There's definitely... There's a few routes you can go down here, because number one, I agree with you. Gruev's very good at doing that sort of thing. He's very good at basically man marking and saying that's his role. I also think Tanaka's capable of doing that. The way that he's so much more physical than I expected him to be, and he's proper putting his shoulder in and barging people around and getting his body in the way, holding onto the ball so well. I like him in that role as well. Like I was saying before about the combinations of players, I think for an away game, it seems like Farke likes to play Byram for a bit more stability at the back. And then if you were going to play Byram, that'd allow you to play Rothwell and Tanaka in the midfield, who are both a little bit more forward thinking than Gruev or Ampadu. But also, if he plays Firpo, then I think he brings Gruev, because he provides a little bit more stability. And there's been kind of something to be said about the way he sets up away from home, because I think when we beat Cardiff 7-0. That was the home game, wasn't it? And you had Tanaka and Rothwell in the midfield. Then we played Coventry away, and he made one change, and everyone was saying, why has he made a change to that team who's just won 7-0? And that was it was either Rothwell out or Tanaka out for Gruev. I think he likes to play Gruev in there for an away game, because he adds a little bit more stability, and it depends on the team as well, which sort of teams like to take control in the midfield. But I can see him. There's so many things that could happen if now Strauch's back, which is good. It's a good problem to have, because I can imagine him having these thoughts in his head. Who the hell do I play? Because I've got so many good midfielders. But I think it might be, as it's an away game, I think it might be Gruev in there, like you said, Joe, to mark their number 10. And also that means that Firpo then plays on the left back, because Byram was in there and Firpo got a rest in the week. So then Gruev covers that as well. But you might easily see that Strauch's not back in yet. He's on the bench, and that it's Rodon and Ampadu with Gruev and Tanaka, or Gruev and Rothwell. I probably think Gruev and Tanaka, given that it's an away game, and historically Watford have always had quite a tough midfield with Sissoko and people like that in there. So I think it might be Gruev and Tanaka for that kind of like tough tackling ability, with Firpo at left back. So I didn't know that I was going to say that at the start of that, which is why I had to kind of talk myself around to it, because we've got so many different options. But I think that might be what it is.
Yeah, I mean, money's going on earlier, I think, just because he didn't touch the pitch either. Because, like Evie was saying earlier, at half time, I was thinking just get Gruev on instead of Gulavogi, just someone to get on the ball, I think. Or you could have gone with Tanaka. Gulavogi offered nothing when we were trying to build up. He looked a bit lost at times, I felt. But yeah, we've done that.
He carried the ball once and he ran through like quite a distance, and I was thinking, oh, he's fucked now.
He looked like Yaya Toure for about 25 seconds, didn't he? And then it just done after that.
Mate, when he got caught on the ball for their second goal, man, fucking hell, so cumbersome.
And then there was that in box as well, when he comes like hurdling over, knees are everywhere, and legs are jangling out. It's like,
it's probably why
he had steady on
doing the last putting him on for the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes is because at that point you're basically shutting up shop, aren't you? You're pulling down the shutters, you're getting everything ready to go on, and he's kind of in there to basically be a big barrier. Stop.
I feel a bit harsh because he's like played for France and Champions League, but my God, that was a long time ago. And it shows.
We didn't have a club, did he? And I don't want to be that guy. Yeah, but you can say all that about his past, but if he hasn't got a club,
I do feel a bit sorry for him for the goal, for the first one, the deflection.
Oh yeah,
he gets a good foot in the way, and it just goes in the top corner. It's like, what can you do? Like, you've got to try and block it. So yeah, I felt a bit sorry for him in that case.
Yeah, definitely. Just proper, like, had he have never played, had he had never started, he'd have gone down as one of my best January signings ever, just because he was a pure, lovely man.
Mascot.
Yeah, but then when I saw him against Harrogate, I was like, whoa, don't play him at centre-back. And then in midfield, I was like, just don't play this guy at all anymore.
We should just play him as like a striker, so that at least we've got like a good, like 9 other men behind the ball to protect,
And he's about 9 foot tall as well for their headers. Like, who was it? Was it Harry Redknapp that used to throw David James up front every now and again when he was like desperate for a goal back in the Portsmouth days in like the early 2000s? I mean, Gilavogi, we're drawing or we're losing. Gilavogi up front for the last 5 minutes with a corner in, and you might actually score a goal.
Yeah, Luke offered him for a shout as in the 10 a couple of weeks back. I was like, what? That was a beauty. I think he was, maybe still rough from night before or something. It was on a mad one. Anyway, I think we've done FA Cup chat, and we can all look ahead to Watford. Tomorrow's Monday, and then we'll be playing on Tuesday, so it might be presser, there'll be previews and stuff, and we can start looking ahead, because after Watford, we've got 2 Monday nights on the spin against Sunderland and Sheffield United, and that's when it gets real, doesn't it? That's the kind of jeopardy you want. I guess for some people there wasn't jeopardy in this FA Cup one. Them 2 big games coming round the corner, there definitely is. So I can't wait. This is what you love football for, right? I cannot wait for Sunderland.
I'm terrified.
Oh, really? I can't wait for Sunderland at Ellen Road. I was like, come on then. You got away with one. They're still not lost at home, by the way. And we would have gifted him that loss if it weren't for Mez. But he has atoned for one of his errors. Let's see if he pulls out a worldie against Sunderland.
2 worldies off in that Coventry game, I thought.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah, Coventry game. Yeah, 2 very good saves. I thought that was.
They were very good.
Back in the tick column for him.
Yeah, therefore. March is February is a great month for content and for Leeds football games anyway. And then we get them out of the way, and then it's just a procession from March through to May. Just like
somebody said,
it's the title running. It's the title running, baby.
I think somebody said a couple of games ago, 8 more wins. I think we had 8 wins out of the last 15, and we've got 90. That takes us to 90 points, which you feel is enough. But given the way that we've played, of course we'll get 8 more wins. That's what you've got to feel.
Well, and as well, promotion's guaranteed because we've just gone out of FA Cup. So
yeah, and don't forget from last season as well.
90 minutes we're going to do us in. So luckily,
90 points guarantees promotion as well. We know that from last season.
Well, any other season it will do. I'm telling you. Sheffield United have got Borough. Burnley have got Hull, Sunderland have got Luton. Sunderland dropping points, so is big, isn't it? Because that puts them 7 points behind us now.
Yeah.
So that's massive at this stage.
Which is why it kind of gives you a cushion, because even if they beat us, which you'd hope they wouldn't, but it's not. It's not.
I hate to be that guy, but I've been saying Sunderland won't have staying power. I've said Leeds will finish first, Sheffield United will be second, and Burnley will draw too many games to get top 2, so we'll finish third. And so it will transpire.
I've not thought Sunderland have been a threat to us for
no, I know. Yeah,
since they went on that mad drawing run when it were like they just couldn't stop drawing games. I just thought that it's no good. This you need to turn games around really quickly. If you're losing a game or drawing a game, you have to go on little mini runs constantly if you want to win league. You can't be going on like we did last year towards end of season where it's just like it's falling to bits a bit. It can't. Your blips have got to be minor, and then you've got to get straight back on with it, haven't you? You can't be messing about in Championship. It's wild.
It's weird how it's still a bit of a 4-horse race though this season, as it was last season. Like even with Sunderland, everybody else after 4th is miles off it.
League, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's 4 again, which is just kind of giving me PTSD from last season. I'm thinking, no, there's only 2 spots.
Yeah, true that. Right, folks, is there any things on your channel you wish to shout about before we finish up? No?
No.
Good?
Not really. Match reactions and stuff.
Good stuff. Sorry, I'm yawning. It's been a long day. But it's my birthday. So, yeah. Thanks for wishing me happy birthday, you three.
Well, I did privately. Gives a break.
Jack did. Max did. Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh, someone didn't on this panel. Anyway.
Happy birthday, Jack.
Thank you.
This is your opportunity. If you don't take that one, that is bad.
Yeah.
Just out of spite, if he's just like, no, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
No.
You can wait till next year.
Yeah. There's always next year. Right, folks, listen. Thanks for watching the Just Joe football show. There'll be a preview out tomorrow, and then it's game day Tuesday. Make sure you check out City Leeds fans, Jack City Music. Make sure you check out Mr. Max. Why do I not know your last name? And I do, Mr. Max Covey.
Yeah,
Covey, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was Mr. Max Covey at Leeds Lately, and of course, make sure you check out Evie at Discourse of a Peacock. So yeah, go check out them amazing channels, and I will be back tomorrow for a preview, pre-record, chill out day, and then game day Tuesday. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.